Hi, everybody. This is Ida Lawrence, and I'm very fortunate today to be able to interview Chautauqua Hunter once again. This time we have a very exciting subject and one that I don't know much about, and I'm really interested in finding out about, and that is crop circles. Chautauqua, are you there?
Good morning, Ida.
Good morning. Good morning. Now, what we're going to do today, what Chautauqua has done since the 1970s is to watch and report on crop circles every year, which is fascinating to me. And so he is an expert on this subject. And he'll be doing his annual report very soon, coming out along with this video. Is that correct?
Yes, and in the point of accuracy, I've only been making annual reports since I've had my blog online, about 3 years. This will be the third year.
Oh, okay.
But I've been following the phenomenon since the late 70s, early 80s.
Okay, good. All right. Well, I'd like to start out by asking you, what interesting things have you seen this year? Well, no. Excuse me. I had another question that was more urgent, and that is, why do you suppose that there's so little interest in this great mystery? It's such a mystery. Where do they come from? What message do they have? And we see so little about it. Can you talk about that first, and then we'll talk about the things that you saw?
Absolutely. What you're talking about, Ida, is cone of silence. It's the cone of silence that the powers that be clamp down over any subject that they can't control, such as Fukushima, such as crop circles, such as the BP oil spill, such as i.e., see the list. It's long. They don't want any acknowledgement of crop circles, as an example, because they can't explain them, they can't control them, and they don't want anyone else figuring it out, is my thought.
Okay.
They want to just ignore it and ridicule it and hope that people will think it's just drunk farmers walking around in circles with boards and strings. That's the way the fake ones are usually made.
Well, we know that what we see is quite impossible to be done that way, and this is a true mystery. And I'd like to know, well, what you've seen this year, and what do you think about this mystery? How do you think they come about?
Well, to start off, at the beginning of each crop circle season, you generally see a few very basic, simple, rudimentary designs, like a triangle inside a circle, geometric signs and patterns. And then further into the season, you see the more elaborate and sophisticated and oh wow kind of formations. I think the early ones are like a primer, reminding us of the language we're using for this one-sided conversation. It's mathematical, it's geometric. Excuse me. Myself and a lot of other people who are way smarter than me have been trying for years to intellectually figure out the language and to decipher what these messages mean every year. And I'm thinking maybe it's time we use the heart instead of the brain, because we're getting a lot of good speculation from the experts that live over there in England and Europe, where the vast majority of them appear. But even they don't know. Nobody knows. I think it's a one-sided communication, and I don't know if it's aliens or if it's our future selves or if it's one of the ideas that I've always liked is that it's Gaia talking to us, and that these things aren't made from above, they come up from below.
Uh-huh.
And that it's the planet trying to talk to us. I think that's as viable of a speculation as aliens or almost anything else because we don't know. And if we knew some of the stuff we don't know, we would just sit around 24 hours a day being paralyzed with amazement.
Well, Chautauqua, I heard one person comment saying that they have to do with 5D consciousness. Is there any connection that goes on in your mind when you think about us being able to manifest something in reality in a different way?
I definitely think that there's a connection between the crop circle formations and 5D consciousness, 5D mindset. I think that they are created to appeal to our subconscious more than our conscious. That's my bump of the situation.
Uh-huh.
What I used to do almost every year until it became easier to do it on the computer, but still there's an advantage to printing these pictures out like I used to do every year. Almost every single formation, I would print it out and put it up on the wall. You know, like the crime scene investigators do.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Trying to stand back and see several or all of the images all at once on a wall and in sequence. That didn't get me anywhere. I was just as confused after years of doing that as I was before I tried.
Okay.
But that's part of what led me to feel that it's not so much an intellectual understanding, that maybe it even surpasses language. Maybe the messages that we receive in these crop circles, maybe not everybody gets the message. Maybe only 50% of the people that see them feel anything. Maybe less than that. I don't know. But it's definitely broadband communication.
Well, there was an incredible image this year that I saw. That it was like something with wings. It looked very familiar. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, there's at least two circle formations this year that make us think of flight and birds. One is the Thunderbird formation.
Yeah, that was it.
And then a few days later, in the same general area of the UK, was another pattern that looked very much like a bird in flight as seen from above.
Oh, my.
Like a sparrow or something like that. This goes back to partially answer part of your question to begin with as to what's the same and what's different in this season. And almost every season you will get variations on a theme. You will get 3 or 4 or 5 different patterns throughout the season that all have a general theme, like maybe 6-pointed stars or birds or what have you. And what's different this year is, used to be, I remember back in the early 80s, it seemed like we were getting the first formations in April, and the last formations would show up around the 3rd week in September. But for the last couple of seasons, the season seems to start later, usually in May, and last year it ended in the middle of August.
Okay.
And again, this year it looks like it's ended on the 19th of August with the latest formation that's been laid down. And whoever's doing it does have a developed sense of humor, because what they used to do almost frequently, not every season, but they throw you off, is you would always know the last formation of the season because it would be the best.
Oh, wow.
We used to call it the jaw dropper, because you just see this and you go, oh, agog. And then you'd relax, like, okay, season's over. And then 3 or 4 days later, they'd throw you a simple one. It fooled you. This is really the last one. So, yeah, they have a sense of humor, whoever the artist is. These things are beautiful. They're made to appeal to our sense of the aesthetic beauty in life. as well as the mathematical perfection of life.
What are some of the ones that you mentioned? Give us the longitude and latitude of their location in the
Oh
mathematics.
yeah, that's one of the new things this year. It's very, very interesting. I think this is the first year it's happened. I might be mistaken, but I think this is the first year that when you add up the mathematical values, like sides to a formation or number of points or whatever, you add up the mathematical value of that formation, and it turns out to be the exact longitude and latitude of that same formation. And that's happened like 3 times this season.
Wow. So
Yeah.
now you were speculating that they...
I think that's a response to the skeptics who say that these are all man-made. It's one thing it's not that man couldn't figure out how to do that, but it's a bit more complicated. There's been instances where a pilot taking tourists out on a seeing flight flies over a field that's perfectly normal. 20 minutes later, half an hour later, they fly back over the same field, and there's a 200-foot diameter formation in it.
Exactly.
Broad daylight.
Mm-hmm. So you know that...
They don't all happen overnight. They're not all drunk farmers out there having a prank.
Uh-huh.
There are some very, very good crop circle makers that are humans. There's people I think they're located in England, that make them for commercials or make them for advertising. One was a really nice one, was just a big heart crop circle. It was made for somebody's wedding. But they're very good. And they claim that they make some of them during the year. But increasingly, these formations are happening in such a way that human involvement is ruled out.
So they do that to demonstrate that, no, there wasn't any human involvement in this one. What is some of the other evidence that they are not from human involvement?
When you go into a crop circle, there's several things that are known trademarks for authentic crop circles. One of them is people drag magnets through them and come up with a lot of little metal filings, little tiny scraps of metal. Then there is the on the stalk of crop, like let's say wheat, there'll be expulsion of the nodes on the stalk where they just like exploded from the inside, like popcorn in a microwave. Another thing is that the crops are not destroyed when they're laid down.
Wow.
They're not broken. They are just gently pressed down to the ground in such a way as to make the formation. The crops continue to grow after being crop circled.
Wow.
It doesn't destroy the crop. But unfortunately, way too many of the farmers over there are very violently opposed to any and all of this. A lot of those farmers, the minute they see one in their field, they'll take their tractor and cut it right out. And that's a loss. We maybe only get one image of those crop circles before they're cut out. Sometimes not even that. Sometimes all we get is a sketch. The nice thing is drones. So many of the people, to get some nice ground shots, the people used to put their cameras on a 20-foot pole and try to get perspective shots of these crop circles. That's old school. Now, for $100 you can get a drone. And you don't have to trespass on the farmer's property if he doesn't want it. You can fly your drone in from public space, take some aerial pictures, and get out and be nice and polite about it. On the other hand, there are a lot of farmers who don't cut them out. They're just as curious as everyone else. There's a donation thing going on over there to where when people come out to view these crop circles, it's the crop circle people themselves that will put out a donation box. to help the farmer defray costs incurred by having a crop circle on his farm.
Good. Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, I like it when I see people working together.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
The farmers don't have to be militant and against this whole thing, but I do think they should be compensated if they lose time or profit or whatever. It can't be normal to have one of these things show up in your land and then have hundreds of people come around tromping on your land. That's what makes damage, is the visitors.
Yeah.
The making of the crop circle doesn't damage the crop, but all the wannabe looky-loos do.
Well, I guess there's no way to really know why they appear in a certain area of the globe. Maybe because there's more a chance of people seeing them. We don't have many in the United States. Has there ever been any?
Yeah, there have been. Every year there are a few in the United States. There's a crop circle research group that's headquartered in the southeastern state somewhere. I can't remember the name of it right now. There was a really big formation back in 2003 that I was fortunate to go see. It's the only one I've ever been able to go visit. It's kind of in the East Bay area near San Francisco, out in the county there, little community named Rockville.
Okay.
One evening, a bunch of us were sitting around and the news was on and they showed an aerial picture and they said, there's a crop circle in Rockville. And we didn't even say a word. We just got up and started charging batteries and packing bags. There was no discussion. We're going to see this crop circle.
Wow.
It was really nice. It wasn't a word said. We just knew that, Chautauqua is not going to let any of us rest unless we take him down to see this crop circle.
Exactly. But what did you find when you went there?
It was, they said at the time, one of the largest formations to appear in the United States. You'd probably get a Google image if you just Google Rockville, California, crop circle 2003. It was a big, what they call a pictograph, mostly several circles that were connected by narrow walkway type lines. And first thing I noticed when I got there is you just feel real good. The energy inside that was just really nice. It was fresh. It hadn't been there for very long. And I got a buzz that was not altogether unpleasant. Not the kind of buzz you get from substances or alcohol or whatever else. It was an energy buzz.
It might be 5D then.
And it stayed with me for a good 2-3 days afterwards. At the same time, it sucked the juice out of every camera battery we had.
Whoa.
Camcorders, still cameras didn't make any difference. We had charged all our batteries before we left. And the three of us, there was nobody got any really good ground shots from within. We got one or two, then the camera dies.
Wow.
That's pretty... that happens a lot. That's pretty frequent, especially over in the UK. As for why most of them happen in the UK, I don't know. They got some neat stuff over there. It might have to do with Stonehenge. Might have to do with some of those old Druid spiritual places, holy places. Or it may just have to do with longitude and latitude on the globe.
Yeah.
That's one of the big mysteries as to why mostly they appear in Europe.
Yeah.
Another one of those trends that's a little bit different this year is every year you see them in France and Italy and Sweden, in the surrounding countries over there in Europe. They all get a few. They don't get as many as the UK does, but they get a few. In previous years, the ones that show up in the other countries are not quite as spectacular, not quite as awe-inspiring or sophisticated. You can't say that anymore. Some of the best stuff I saw this year came from Germany.
Oh, really? Okay.
The Brandenburg circles or formations. You know, we try to call them formations because clearly they're not all circles.
Where?
I'm
Oh, sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
no, I was going to say I'm really liking the big Thunderbird
Me
formation.
too.
My energy vibe to that right
Yeah.
immediately. So in 5D, maybe they're trying to awaken that Native American spirit that lies within some of us.
Well, where was that? Where was the Thunderbird located?
Uh, I don't know exactly right now.
Okay. All right, we'll have to look it up. We'll have to
uh,
look it up.
I can pull that up real quick. I just don't have it right on the tip of my mind right now.
Uh-huh.
There's so many circles every year to uh, keep track of.
Would you say, now let's just go back 3 years, from 2012 to 2015. Has there been any kind of evolution of images? Any kind of, is there any kind of like progressive going towards something feeling that you get from them?
The one thing I think that might apply there with what you're talking about is the the onset of the three-dimensional crop circle.
Okay.
They started coming up with those 5, 6 years ago, maybe more. And there's a couple of them like that this year. There's one in Italy, in Serbia, Italy, that is definitely a 3D design. It's very large. And that's another aspect of a lot of the formations this year are 200 feet and more, some of them. Usually you get crop formations that are, you know, 50, 60, 100 feet wide, but we've seen several formations this year that are 200 feet or more. There's a nice, in Bavaria, Germany, on July 16th, they laid down a really nice six-fold geometry star, and it's very much a 3D pattern. However, anyway, from any aspect you look at it, it's kind of very, very much 3D.
Yeah, I saw that one. That's gorgeous.
And the Thunderbird that was put down at Barbary Castle.
Oh, okay.
July 25th, and that just that's one of a good example of what I was talking about when I said that maybe they're designed to speak to us other than on the intellectual
Could
level.
be. It's certainly.
I had a very happy, energetic response the moment I saw the Thunderbird there at Barbary Castle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. And some of them, the one that you mentioned, the 3D one and so on, they, I don't know what they might touch unconsciously, or what they might touch in us as we look at them. I hope there's some superb evolutionary meaning to all of this.
I think there is, and I think the evolution is the key concept here. I think that they're trying to keep us on a proper evolutionary path, maybe, or just remind us that what we see around us isn't necessarily all that real or all that healthy.
Nice.
It's humans love a mystery, Ida. We all love a mystery. And part of that is we love having something that we can't explain, something to give our minds to something to gnaw over. And that's what the crop circles are. It's like, yep, you can't explain us. Mm-hmm. You can't duplicate us. Some of the ones that have been laid down, like one of my favorites was the Julia set fractal that was set down in England. Oh gosh, I think that was 2004. I'm not sure the years exactly, but the day before there had been a television program in England, and one of the naysayers said that all of the crop circles were made by human beings over the span of darkness, and that they absolutely, were man-made, and there was no sophistication to them. The next day, one of the biggest crop circles ever showed up on the side of a hill, and it had no less than, I think, 98 total circles. It was a huge, Julia set fractal, and there's no way any amount of humans could have put that on the side of the hill. And it was so big that mathematically they figured it took 13 hours to make it. The night is not 13 hours long. So to me, when I heard that story come up behind that crop circle all those years ago, it said to me that, well, like I said earlier, they have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
And evidently, they were watching the TV show too. I don't know.
You know what I think it does for me is that it lets me know for sure that there's much that this very, very toxic system that we're in doesn't have control over. Doesn't have any control over this. There is a life far beyond what we're experiencing here. And it's a very hopeful sign to me that, yeah, we're experiencing this hell of a world with such a destructive force, but there's far more powerful force that they can do nothing about.
I agree. It's always felt to me just that way as a sign of hope.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody out there is watching. Maybe they're not watching out for us, but they're watching. I think the messages are watching out for us. They're there, for those who are interested. They're there for us to engage our curious selves in trying to decipher them, what they mean to us.
Yeah.
Not every crop circle is going to resonate to everybody who sees it. Some of them I look at them and I go, okay, that's cute. Next,
Uh-huh.
And then you find the ones that you put up on your wallpaper and stare at for 2 weeks.
Right. And you wish it was in a book that you could just page through and see the very best of them.
They do. They do have the annual yearbooks. The company, the website rather, that puts them out is the Crop Circle Connector.
Okay.
There's links to them and to the other primary site called Temporary Temples.
Mm.
Both of these websites are run by the real crop circle experts, the best people in the field, and they tend to get the best photographs and the best videos of anyone in the field, in my opinion. And they all pretty much work together. You have the Crop Circle Connector, you have Stephen Alexander at Temporary Temples, and then you got Lucy Pringle. She's been out there every year. Some of the first crop circle pictures I ever saw were taken by Lucy Pringle.
Cool.
She's an established fixture in the crop circle cosmology. So yeah, these are the experts, and when you go to their websites, you'll see links to the products that they offer. They offer videos of all the year's best crop circles, as well as the stunning photography and the commentary.
Well, you're going to put all those links on your article, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. You know what I did it again.
They're in there already. Is all I was going to say.
Okay. What I was going to. We're getting close to the end here. I'm going to try to cut it off at a half an hour.
Right.
But you know what? I kind of, while you were talking about why they're here, it was the feeling that I was having is that it would be just super cool if it was us, our future selves, that are sending messages to us. Ourselves right now and telling us, yeah, hang in there. There's more to come.
I would love it if that's the way it turned out to be.
Yeah, me too. That's a happy thought. I want to give people
those.
Go ahead.
You have to keep those happy thoughts.
Yeah, for real. Why would we want any other type of thoughts? And other than we can make it. We can make it through.
Exactly. maybe, like you say, these are proof that we already have if they're coming from our future
Yeah,
selves.
it's proof that we already have. So chin up. We're fine. I want to tell people where to go to augurai.blogspot.com, and that's spelled AUGUREYE .blogspot.com, and you go there and would be able to find the annual report. What are you planning on coming out today, tomorrow?
Yeah, definitely today. I was just holding off so we could include our little chat with the annual report.
Super cool. All right, so I'll get this fixed up for you, and I want to let you close out with whatever you'd like to say, and thank everybody for listening.
Well, definitely thank all of the people who are listening. And as for final comment, keep an open mind and an open heart, not just towards the crop circles, but towards life. Let your heart guide you. And that's what I have to say on the subject.
Absolutely the best guidance we could get. Thank you, Chautauqua. I love talking with you, and we'll find more to talk about too, because I really enjoy these. I hope the people do too.
I enjoy them as well, and thank you again for having me as your guest today.
Okay. All right. We'll talk later. Bye.
All right.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.